TV channels sent cameras. But that night, deep in the basement of an old building in Accra, 7 powerful African leaders made a big decision. The African Development Pact, suggested by Ibrahim Traoré, was going to break the old ways the Western world had set up over many years, all within just 24 hours. The start of something big, a secret meeting 12:30 a.m. to 1:15 a.m. the night before a new day. Ibrahim Traoré pulled back the curtains in his hotel room, looking at the city lights of Accra outside. It was after midnight. In less than an hour, the most important meeting of his life would start. He made a quick call from the phone in his room. "Are you ready, Guillaume?" The answer was short. "Ready, Mr. President." Guillaume Sandé was Traoré's most trusted spy chief. He used to lead special forces and now ran Burkina Faso's foreign security. Traoré looked at the envelope on the table. Inside were the final details of a plan he had worked on for 5 months. The plan seemed simple. 7 major African countries would form a new economic team among themselves. But the real key was the smart way they planned to make this happen. Someone knocked 3 times, then 2 more times. This was their secret knock. Traoré opened the door. "The car is ready, Mr. President," said a man in regular clothes. Yedishikti AJ from Ghana's intelligence was helping set up this secret meeting in Ghana. Traoré put on a simple jacket, put a special device, not his phone, in his pocket and left the room. No one was to know that Ibrahim Traoré, the president of Burkina Faso, had quietly left his fancy hotel in Accra. In the hotel hallway, they were led to a service elevator. It opened right into the service area at the back of the hotel. 4 normal-looking black cars were waiting. They had no special flags or signs that showed they were for diplomats. "Which one?" Traoré asked softly. "The second car, Mr. President," AJ replied. The cars drove through the dark, winding streets of Accra, heading to the old part of the city. Unlike the busy main areas, here the streetlights were fewer, buildings were older, and streets were narrower. Traoré watched from the car. This important West African city looked like a modern place during the day with its shiny buildings and lively streets. But at night, especially in these old neighborhoods, you could really see the city's past. The cars stopped in front of a building from the time of the colonies. The outside of the building looked run down, but the inside was different. "We picked this building on purpose," AJ said. "It used to be the British military headquarters when they ruled us. Today, it will be the place where Africa declares its freedom." Traoré smiled in a meaningful way. "History sometimes takes unexpected turns," he said. Inside, a hallway with old stone walls and wooden floors led them to the basement. The basement was much more modern than they expected, with new lights, air conditioning, and security systems. As they walked through the door of a big meeting room, Ibrahim Traoré's heart beat faster. The Accra Promise. Standing together for money, freedom in the room, 5 of Africa's most important leaders were already there. Standing before him were the people who would change the future of the continent. Nigerian President Azikwe Okafor, Mali's temporary leader Ahmed Touré, Ghanaian President Kwame Abbasi, Chadian President Mohamed Dabi, and Ivory Coast President Laurent Gbagbo. All of them had led big changes in their own countries recently. "Ibrahim Traoré," Okafor said, standing up. "Finally, we are all here." Traoré went up to the leader of Africa's biggest economy and shook his hand warmly. After saying hello to the other leaders, they all sat around the table. "Western spy agencies are watching us," Traoré said, getting right to the point. "In each of our countries, there are agents trying to influence our money decisions. I am here because we must now work together." Everyone around the table nodded and looked like they agreed. "Ibrahim is right," Touré said. "In Mali, after we took control of our gold mines, French companies canceled all their deals with us. Now we face secret money problems. The situation in Nigeria is the same," Okafor added. "Most of our oil money still goes to foreign companies. We don't get enough benefit from our own resources." Chad's President Dabi spoke next. "And now Western powers have started a new race to control Africa's resources. China, Russia, America, France, they all act as if these lands belong to them." Traoré placed the file he took from his bag in the middle of the table. "That's why I came up with the idea for the African Development Pact," he said. He opened the file and gave the papers inside to the leaders. Each page had detailed plans about everything from money resources to currencies to trade deals. This is more than just a simple trade agreement, Traoré explained. This is a plan for Africa to build its own money system, a system completely free from Western control. Ghana's President Abbasi looked at the papers and asked, "Is this real? Will the IMF and World Bank let us do this?" A strong look came over Traoré's face. "We're not asking for their permission, Kwame. We will set up our own system. This is the start of the African Money Union." A quiet moment filled the room. Everyone was trying to understand what the papers meant. It meant African countries would create their own shared money, decide their own trade rules, and completely ignore Western money groups. "The West will attack us," said Ivory Coast President Biganda. "There will be money restrictions, bad news in the media, maybe even physical attacks." Traoré looked around the table. In each leader's eyes there was worry but also strong will. "Yes, they will attack," he said, "but we will be ready. That's why this meeting is secret. That's why all our phones and electronic devices were left outside. When the West finds out about our plan, we will have already started it." Nigeria's leader Okafor looked at his notes and then up. "The first step is to combine our gold reserves, right?" "Correct," Traoré answered. "Africa's total gold is much more than Western countries think. If we put all our gold together, we can create a strong base for our new currency, which I call the African Union Gold. This will be the end of the CFA franc," said Mali's leader Traoré, talking about the West African money controlled by France. "Absolutely," Traoré confirmed. "The CFA is a symbol of new colonialism. Our own money will be the first step in deciding our own future." The meeting went on for hours. Each leader talked about their country's views, shared concerns, and gave ideas. But by the end of the night, they all had one shared goal: to work together for Africa's money freedom. As morning arrived, all 7 leaders signed the agreement. The African Development Pact would be known in history as the Accra Declaration. "What happened tonight must stay secret," Traoré said as the meeting ended. "Each of us will go back to our country and quietly start getting ready. In 3 months, we will tell the world about the pact all at once." Outside the meeting room, the sun was just starting to rise. Africa's leaders shook hands again, now with a hidden bond between them. As Ibrahim Traoré went back to his hotel, he watched Accra's morning traffic. The streets were waking up, people were starting their day. Most didn't know what had happened last night, but soon everyone would. "Yetashikti," Traoré said to the Ghanaian intelligence official, "the world is about to stop worrying about us and start worrying about itself." "How long do you think they will take to react?" AJ asked. "Western spy agencies will learn about this meeting within a week," Traoré said. "But it will take them much longer to learn the details of the agreement. By then, we will have already acted." The plan speeds up. A race against reaction. 3 days later, Ibrahim Traoré returned to Burkina Faso. This trip, which was officially listed as a visit to Ghana, looked like a normal diplomatic visit from the outside. Traoré met with a small team in his private room at the palace. There were only 4 people there: the foreign minister, the central bank president, the economy minister, and spy chief Guillaume. "In 3 months, we will announce the African Union Gold," Traoré said. "We must start putting all our gold reserves together. This is a direct blow to France's power, Mr. President," the foreign minister said with a worried voice. "The reaction will be harsh." "I know," Traoré said. "That's why we need to take every security step before we announce it, make sure the army is ready." The economy minister asked, "What will make our new money valuable?" "Gold," Traoré said. "Unlike the paper money of the West, our money will be directly backed by gold. This will make sure it has real value." "What about oil?" the central bank president asked. "Are Nigeria's oil reserves part of this pact?" "Yes," Traoré confirmed. Nigeria, Chad, and other oil-producing countries have agreed to include their resources in the pact. The African Union Gold will be backed by both real gold and oil. "This could be one of the strongest currencies in the world," the central bank president said, his eyes shining. "And that's what the West fears," Traoré added. "Africa's true money freedom." 2 weeks passed while Traoré worked in his palace office. Suddenly, Guillaume rushed in. "Mr. President, French intelligence has found out about our meeting," he said, showing the reports in his hand. "The first reactions have started." Traoré calmly asked, "What kind of reaction?" "A campaign to make you look bad has started in Western media. Articles are being published calling you and other leaders dictators. Also, the French ambassador wants an urgent meeting." Traoré smiled. "I will meet with the ambassador, but first we have our meeting with our economic team. We need to speed up our plan." Guillaume looked worried. "Mr. President, the French might not just use media and talks. There could be real threats." "I know, Guillaume," Traoré said. "That's why I had a secret meeting with our army commanders last week. We are ready for anything." Face-off and fast action, French Ambassador Jean-Pierre Lacroix was waiting in the palace's reception room. He looked nervous and impatient. When Traoré came in, wearing his simple military uniform, the ambassador's face turned red. "Mr. President," the ambassador said formally, "I must give you a very important message." "I'm listening, Ambassador," Traoré said calmly. "The French government has heard troubling news about some economic plans. Messing with the West African money system could have serious problems for the region." Traoré went behind his desk and gestured for the ambassador to sit. "Ambassador Lacroix," he said, "I want to remind you that I have the right to decide my country's money policies. France has no right to interfere in Burkina Faso's internal matters." The ambassador's face got even redder. "This is not an internal matter, President Traoré. This is about the stability of the global money system." Traoré replied strongly. "So, Africa's money freedom threatens global money stability. That's an interesting way to see it." "You're not understanding the issue," Lacroix said. "France has supported West Africa's growth for many years. The CFA franc is part of this support." "The CFA franc," Traoré said, "is a chain that stops Africa's money freedom, and we are determined to break that chain." The ambassador couldn't hide his surprise. Traoré's direct talk had caught him off guard. Is this a threat, President Traoré?" he asked. "No, Ambassador," Traoré said. "This is a declaration. Africans will decide Africa's money future." After the ambassador left, Traoré immediately brought his foreign affairs team together. "The West is finding out about our plan," he said. "We need to speed up our timeline. Contact the other leaders. We can't wait 3 months. We must announce it in 1 month." A video call system was set up and a secure call was made to the other leaders who had been at the Accra meeting. All of them agreed to speed up the plan. "The West is in a panic," Nigerian President Okafor said. "Their ambassadors visited me too. They offered deals mixed with threats and bribes." "The same thing is happening in Mali," Traoré added. "But we won't give up." Each leader shared information about the preparations in their own country. Gold transfers had already started. Secret deals had been made to print the new currency. "Within a month," Traoré said, "the world will meet a new economic power, the African Union." However, speeding up the plans also made things riskier. Traoré looked at the spy reports. French special services were much more active. The old colonial powers were determined to stop Africa's bold move. "Guillaume," Traoré said to his spy chief, "raise security to the highest level. I want to know right away if there's any sign of danger." That night, as Traoré sat alone on the palace balcony, he thought about the future of the continent. Africa's wealth had been leaving for centuries. Gold, diamonds, oil, cobalt. All these valuable resources were helping the people of Africa very little. "This will change," he whispered to himself. "Now we will decide our own future." His thoughts were interrupted by his phone ringing. He saw that the caller was Mali's leader, Ahmed Traoré. "Ibrahim," Traoré said, sounding worried, "there's a coup attempt. A group of soldiers backed by France is surrounding the palace." Traoré's heart tightened. "Ahmed, are you safe?" he asked. "For now, my loyal troops are fighting, but the situation is very bad. The West has acted to stop our plan." Traoré immediately took action. He called Guillaume and explained what was happening. Then he told the other leaders. "This is just the start," Nigerian leader Okafor said. "We are all in danger." "Then we can't wait," Traoré said. "We need to announce the plan now. We must catch the West off guard." The 7 leaders, making a quick decision, agreed to announce the African Development Pact and the new currency, African Union Gold, right away. Each would make a speech on national television at the same time that evening. "Tonight at 8:00 p.m., Traoré said, "the date for Africa's declaration of freedom has been set. A new day for Africa, the rise of independence at 11:00 p.m., Burkina Faso national television stopped its regular shows to broadcast Ibrahim Traoré's speech. At the same time, similar speeches were being shown in the other 6 countries. Traoré, in his military uniform, looked at the cameras with strong determination. "People of Burkina Faso and all my African brothers and sisters," he began, "tonight, we are starting a new chapter in the history of our continent. Today, I officially declare the African Development Pact and our new currency, the African Union Gold." During his speech, he explained the details of the pact: the combined gold reserves of 7 countries, shared trade rules, and freedom from the Western money system. "They will tell us this is impossible," Traoré said. "They will tell us you will fail, but history favors those who are brave. Africa's time has come." At the end of the speech, the Burkina Faso flag and the new African Union gold symbol were shown side by side. The speeches sent shockwaves around the world. Western money experts said this move was dangerous and would cause problems. The IMF and World Bank held emergency meetings. The French government strongly criticized the rebellion in the CFA Franc area. However, in African streets, there was a different reaction. People came out to celebrate their leader's bold decision. A wave of hope spread across the continent, from Dakar to Lagos, from Bamako to Accra. The coup attempt in Mali failed. Ahmed Traoré, with the support of the people, defeated the soldiers who tried to overthrow him with French backing. Similar attempts in other countries were also stopped. Within a week, the first real examples of the African Union gold coins were made and shown to the public. The gold-colored coins had the shape of the African continent and the words, "Unity, Power, Independence." "This is not just money," Traoré said as he showed the first coins to the people. "This is the symbol of our freedom." The Western world quickly responded with money restrictions, trade limits, blocking international payments, and diplomatic pressure against the countries that joined the African Development Pact. However, these pressures led to something unexpected. More African countries announced they wanted to join the pact. First Senegal, then the Democratic Republic of Congo and Tanzania said they would accept the African Union gold. Within 3 months, the African Development Pact had grown into a union covering 15 countries on the continent. The flow of resources and trade that the West had controlled for so long was now in Africa's hands. Ibrahim Traoré attended the official signing ceremony held in Accra. The dream that started in a secret meeting had now become a reality, shaping the future of the continent. "The wealth from Africa's resources will now stay on African soil," Traoré said in his speech. "We have come to the end of hundreds of years of money being taken from us. Now, we will write our own future." A year later, Ibrahim Traoré visited the old building in Accra where it all began. The building had now become a museum, the Museum of African Economic Independence. The historic meeting room in the basement had been kept just as it was. A copy of the original document signed by the 7 leaders was displayed on the table. The walls were covered with photos and charts showing what the pact had achieved. The African Union gold had become a stable currency in world money markets. The continent's natural resources were now being used to make its own people prosperous. The West's restrictions had not worked as well as they thought, because Africa had managed to build its own strong money system. "That night here around this table, we had a dream," Traoré told a young Ghanaian journalist next to him. "Today, that dream has come true." Outside the museum, in the streets of Accra, people went about their daily lives, but now there was a different look on their faces: pride and hope. Africa's story of money freedom had started with just the bravery and vision of 7 leaders. Now, this vision was spreading across the entire continent, and at the center of this story stood Ibrahim Traoré, who had decided to change the continent's future in a secret meeting. "Africa's destiny," Traoré said as he left the museum, "is now in our own hands."